I got my background. I got a little bit better background than we're used to here. I'm out on the golf course here for the Bombers Classic. Paul was just talking to my guy Tommy, who runs the tournament. Tommy McCluskey from Sayreville. He does an unbelievable job. It's about 22 Celsius here, about 72 degrees. So you can't complain about the weather today, I think. So
looks nice and green.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll probably be dying later because of the pollen and stuff, but it's not too bad right now. Yeah, you're back after yesterday. How long were you out?
It was 2 hours.
Oh wow, okay. All right, it's back on now. We got some big games today.
Yeah, I hope no surprises tonight.
Yeah, what do you think about that? My friends are over at the Benfica intermatch, and then obviously Manchester City and Bayern Munich. What are your thoughts on those games? Which way do you think those go?
Lately, the last few years, I think anything can happen because I've watched so many Champions League editions. I've seen Real Madrid, all the holders crash to lower teams. So and now City and Bayern, they're both at the same caliber. So really,
I
it all
think it's.
depends
Uh,
on team performance.
I
And
think both these ties today probably about the same. I mean, the teams are probably about on the same levels. I think, which makes them both pretty interesting. I think tomorrow, I think, is a little different. I think Real Madrid and Napoli are probably clear favorites, but today, both of those are pretty even if they both play at the top. I think.
yeah, but you never know.
Never do. Yeah, you never do.
Who'll be on his day and football
You
or
know what?
soccer.
You know what I think is pretty interesting. See here, some of these guys come up. I think we're gonna take a little ride around the course and talk a little football. I think what the thing is that is interesting about this Manchester City team is they're now once again they're favorites to win the Premier League, even though they're 6 points back of Arsenal. But Pep always finds a way to blow these Champions League games with better.
Overthink. Yeah, he has admitted that he often overthinks. So
With better teams too. That's the thing. I mean, look, if you're the manager of Olympic Lyonnais or RB Leipzig and you're playing in these games and you have to try to beat whatever Real Madrid or some of these teams. Sometimes I think you might overthink it. You might try to do something because maybe that's what you need to do to win the tie. Maybe you have to do something revolutionary. But Pep has 3 squads of players. Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden, who's still been injured, but this guy's got an unbelievable squad, and he's only been to 1 Champions League final. It's interesting, and I think he did the same thing at Bayern Munich. I know there were some years that Bayern Munich team was ridiculous, and they didn't even get to a final. So
with Bayern, all 3 years he was eliminated by Spanish teams.
That's right. And I'm going to be interested. I'm very interested to see what happens with this tie because, I think City wins the Premier League. I think they catch Arsenal. I've said that before multiple times. I just think that Arsenal is. You know, I just don't. I think they'll fold under pressure. Um, but in this Champions League, it's very interesting. Um, City is clearly the team that should. They're the favorites, and
Who?
if they beat Bayern, but then once again, you got you might
Come
have
on.
Madrid waiting for you.
Every year, Manchester City and PSG are the favorites.
Mm-hmm. They never win.
So come on with these favorites.
Yeah,
If they play simple football the way they can, without overthinking, and now we have to attack from the left because in the between 50 and the 20th minute that Pep said so. If they just play natural football with this type of players, I think they can win by 3, 4, 5 goals.
I've
But
I've
but,
yeah
but also Bayern can score a lot.
I've stated I think it's going to be Madrid and Napoli in the final. I think Napoli gets to the final. From that side, I don't know who beats Napoli, and I think Madrid beats Chelsea pretty handily. I don't think Chelsea's very good, and you know, I just City against Pep against Spanish sides, Pep against Real Madrid. This Real Madrid once again, Real Madrid after that Copa del Rey semifinal destruction. They know they're only faced one thing. They win the Copa del Rey and they win the Champions League. So I don't know. I think Manchester City is going to be obviously fighting on three fronts here, and they still want to win a Premier League title because they would win their third in a row, which only one team has ever done. One club has ever done. Manchester United did it twice, so I still think that's going to play into it a little bit. So it'll be interesting, though. I know you think Real Madrid's probably going to be there at some point, maybe making some. No,
In fact, I think it will be a bit too much.
okay. So do you think they beat Chelsea?
Yeah, yeah.
If can Real Madrid beat Bayern Munich if Bayern Munich wins?
Well, Real Madrid can beat anyone any day, but I just don't see it. I just don't feel it every year. Real Madrid, come on, it has to be something different. It's getting too much.
Okay.
Even though even though we're a pretty good team, but for the sake of football, just I've seen enough Champions League trophies lifted. So
Well, I don't need to see Manchester City in the game, so I'd rather see. Hey, Bill, Benfica money line, Manchester City money line, and over. Real Madrid, both teams to score. Let's go. That's his play. Uh, I like, I like Benfica today. I think that's a tough. I think that's an interesting tie. The only thing is, with Inter, I think if Inter wins that today, it'd be interesting. But
yeah,
he
I won't be surprised if it finish 0-0.
low
Really,
scoring.
these teams, yeah, but it can go also 2-2. So I was thinking, I'm waiting for the lineups. I expect Barella to play, and I was looking at the lines to have a shot on target or shot at goal at least, and it was pretty good. I'm Now I'm gonna turn them into an American. So to have a shot at goal, it was a minus 162,
For
which
which
I
club?
find pretty. Barella from Inter to have a shot at goal, not on target, at goal.
Okay.
Whether it being blocked or goes 50 meters or in throwing, it's a shot.
Bill's saying maybe under in the Benfica game. Then I think the under 2.5 is juiced a little bit. This Benfica team doesn't. You saw Inter against Porto, it was 1-0 and over 2 legs. These first legs are tricky because the team, obviously Inter doesn't want to go home down 3-0. Obviously Benfica doesn't want to lose 2-0 at home. Going back,
maybe they will say in the 70th, 80th minute, okay, let's leave it for Milan to decide it in the second leg. Let's see there what happens. Not risk at all, but they can go all out in attack. A game can change in 5 minutes. I was telling my friends at the World Cup final, the game can change in 5 minutes. The game can change in 5 minutes when Argentina were 2-0 up. So.
Changed in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and it changed in 2 minutes, not 5.
Yeah, no, I like Benfica. I think Manchester City wins today. At home. This Manchester City team right now is just playing out of their mind. I mean, they're just really, really playing well right now. They're really going to be tough.
You never know when their mind will flip if they haven't already switched, because it's Champions League and not the Premier League. And
Bill, I'd look for Ramos to score here today. I mean, he's going to be going to
Ramos.
Yeah, maybe Manchester United's looking at him in some of these big clubs. He's the one who came in and had the hat trick in the World Cup and replacing Ronaldo. So I think it starts and stops with him.
I like Rafa Silva pretty much. I've been following him for years.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, this Benfica team is really good, and you remember they sold Enzo Fernandez for a lot of money. So and it really hasn't had them lose a beat here. They're very good. So that's Bill. I would say probably 1-0 Benfica. 2-0 maybe at a stretch, but once again it could be pretty cagey here. So, but I do like Benfica. That bet's pretty good there. And then I just do you I don't know. Does Chelsea score against Real Madrid tomorrow?
Who knows?
I'm not. This Chelsea team is really weird.
I don't like this Chelsea squad. They don't have a natural striker. They don't have a fox in the box, like they say it in England. They don't have a number 9. They rely on João Felix, on Kai Havertz. They're not strikers. They can play in attack, but they cannot finish the attack.
They got 5'10s instead of 1'9". I mean, that's the problem. They're all the same. They're all that second striker that playing. They don't have that one guy. They don't have Haaland. They don't have Benzema. They don't have Lewandowski. They don't have Gonzalo Ramos. They don't have one of these guys that can put the ball in. They don't have a Osimhen. I mean, that's the thing, Bill. Right now, the teams that are favored to win the Champions League right now, in order, Manchester City, Benzema plus money for the game tomorrow. Benzema, Real Madrid, and Vinicius Jr. right now, who's scoring all these goals. Lewandowski for Bayern Munich, Napoli, Osimhen. The teams that are the teams that are favored to go through are the teams that have the 9 that are going to score the goal. That's how you weed these teams out. This 9, the 9 was out of fashion for a while. It was a lot of false 9s and all this stuff. Well,
I came at some numbers recently. Since the beginning of 2023, Benzema and Vinicius, between them both, have scored or assisted 40 goals or more. The second best duo in Europe is like 20 something goals. So imagine.
The two Napoli guys, right? Osimhen
And Kvicha.
yeah.
But Kvicha doesn't have so many goals.
Yeah. He pops up every once in a while. That's I think that's the thing. When you're looking for the teams, because in my opinion, I think Benfica goes through. I think City goes through. I think Real Madrid goes through, and I think Napoli goes through. The four teams that go through all have that one person that can score on top of all the goals they get from everybody else. They find, Manchester City gets a goal from Foden and De Bruyne and
You don't put Giroud in that category?
No, I do. I think he's a little bit below that. But, I think you can make the case. I think that's why they're here where they are now. So, I think maybe you start to,
And you said Benfica?
Yeah, Benfica. I think Benfica.
Inter have Lukaku, Dzeko, Martinez, and you say they don't have that.
Lukaku?
Yeah. Look at him. Just look at him.
Thanks. He's big.
He has everything to prove again, and he will prove it again. Once again, he will prove his points.
Okay. Bill's asking about, Madrid, not being at their best. They seem to turn a switch when needed. You got.
They've been like this for quite some time.
Or they might have a UFC fight afterwards though with Valverde.
Yeah.
But I think Bill, because they have they're not going to win La Liga unless something.
They feel like the best team in the world, and they don't feel like needing it to prove in La Liga, because last year they were champions. They won the Champions League. This year again, every 38 games, they can have a day off or something. But in the Champions League or Copa del Rey, when they feel the pressure, they deliver.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between, some of these, that's the difference between Real Madrid and Manchester City, or Real Madrid and PSG over the last, look at the last decade. It was a weird game, Bill. I watched that game. The second Villarreal goal was was close, offsides, onside. It was a fluky kind of game. But once again, they have some guys banged up, and they're not really I think they're not really. They don't really care about the La Liga at this point. They're out of it. They're not going to win it. But I think if they beat. If that goal would have counted in the Classico and they would have won that game and cut it to whatever 3 or whatever.
It would have been a turning point.
I think it would have been a turning point, and they could have maybe made a run. But once they lost that and it was just done, I think, it became easier just to turn the page and just say, look, we're going to win the Copa del Rey. We're going to try to win the Champions League. We're going to get a piece of silverware. Carlo's going to, go to Brazil or wherever he's going to go. We're going to have whoever comes in next. And we're going to go in the summer and we're going to sign somebody. And then in 2024, they'll sign Mbappe. And, they'll rebuild. They still have to rebuild a little bit because, Modric and Cruz and, Benzema is getting older, although he's a freak. So I think, it's just one of these teams. They're very, they're much better run than.
I won't be surprised if Hazard gets some minutes, not get some minutes, but start some games in La Liga.
Yeah, what a waste that guy is. The other thing we got here. I know you don't have your Lakers on, your Warriors, your Lakers jersey. There it is. Money line is 145 in my book. What's that? Real Madrid for tomorrow, Bill. We're going to talk a little basketball here because the playoffs are tonight. You got the 7-8 games. Look, the Lakers are going to win tonight, I think, even though they're 1-2 against Minnesota. No Gobert, none of the other guys banged up because Gobert punched him. The Lakers are going to be in the playoffs. They're going to play Memphis, and that series is going to be interesting. The other game is Atlanta at Miami. A little more interesting to me. I mean, will you be saying
it looks more even?
Yeah, Miami I think is better, but who knows? It's one game, So Trey, I think Atlanta could win, but are you going to stay up for those tonight or?
It's doubtful. After the Champions League might be too much.
8.5, maybe too many points. He likes Miami and the Lakers. Yeah, Bill, the home teams, obviously, I think I don't see any way. Tomorrow.
Yes. The Lakers rarely won by more than 5 or 6 during the regular season, so they would just care about getting the double.
Just trying to win. Tomorrow's games are interesting. I think a little bit. They could be interesting. In both conferences. Friday will be interesting because it's playing it in, and then Saturday, Sunday. When the first round starts. I think there's going to be Golden State and Sacramento is a fantastic series. There's going to be no defense. There'll be 150 to 145 every game, and the Suns. Foxy, what a game today with City and Bayern. Yeah, Foxy, the 4 ties, I think you can't, there's storylines, obviously. Yeah, NBA clearly wants the Lakers in. I think, you got the 4 storylines. The first game, Benfica and Inter, one of these teams is going to be in a semifinal, and, they're not the they've been around it for whatever, but
I don't think Benfica has reached semi-final in the Champions League for quite a long time.
If you would have told Benfica fans that they would be in the semi-final this year and win, Liga Nos, I think they would throw a parade. At this point, it's been a long time, and I think the same with Inter. Inter won the league last year. They haven't been great in Serie A. So, if one of those teams is going to be in a semifinal, Manchester City and Bayern Munich, the 2 favorites playing, could be, it's two big teams, obviously. Pep used to coach, all this stuff. Real Madrid, Chelsea's a rematch of last year, and that tie, I was at the second leg. I mean, that was an unbelievable tie. Tons of goals, tons of action, and then obviously the two Serie A teams, the rebirth of Serie A right now with 3 teams in the quarterfinals, and a chance. Well, there's one team's going to be in the semifinal, and there's a chance it could be an all Serie A semifinal.
Not only the teams, the managers too.
The managers, yeah, that's right. I wrote the story about that. Yeah, I posted you wrote it, but I posted it. I mean, and when you look at all the Italian managers, and it's not just the Champions League. You see what Roma's doing and Fiorentina and these other teams. So it's a
quite
huge,
a successful period.
And especially when you start talking about the coefficients. People were saying these other teams. France was catching Italy and the coefficients. Well, not now. Not after this year. There's no chance. Italy could pass Germany at this point and basically go to, I guess they would move up to third, and they're probably not going to pass Spain because of, Real Madrid. But yeah, look, it's interesting. You got that starting. You got the basketball playoffs starting. You got the Champions League quarterfinals this week and next week. So those are overlapping, and then you have the Stanley Cup playoffs starting as well next week. So there's a lot of different stuff going on. Foxy, 89-90 the last time Benfica made a semifinal. And look, if Benfica makes a semifinal, against Napoli or whatever, I mean, Napoli I would think would be a favorite. But, you're in the semifinal. You just red card, something happens. You're a little bit, you're 2 games away from a final. You have a chance here. So, I just think there's been some years like this. Well, the COVID year was weird because you had, Leipzig that beat, Leipzig got through, and then, PSG finally got through. Roma got to a semifinal in 2018 against Liverpool, and you've had some of these, Schalke in 2011. You've had some teams.
In 2003, you had Porto Monaco.
Yeah. You've had some of these teams. Everyone's always, it's Real Madrid and Liverpool. I mean, if you look at the finals, it's, the big boy club. But, there's been some teams that have made semifinals and, changed the way the club is thought of. The Portuguese league, I mean, look, Porto and Benfica have been in quarterfinals, one or the other, for the last decade or so. I mean, they just haven't been able to break through. Maybe this is the time they actually break through. So I think the 4 games, the 4 ties are really, really interesting. I think there's huge storylines.
Yeah, there will be plenty of headlines tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. With all the different games. Yeah. Anything else you want to kind of hit on here today about any of the games or any?
No, I just hope
baseball.
Sorry.
Any baseball? Tampa Bay Rays 10-0.
No. I'll pass on it.
Any Indian Premier League, Rajasthan Royals, or somebody like this?
Nah. Let's focus on the Champions League.
All right. Yeah. So those games will kick off in about an hour. So
yeah.
I think hopefully my golf tournament is done so I can watch a little bit. If not, I'll be in the into the clubhouse there and watching the. I remember last year the same tournament we were watching. I think it was the first leg of Real Madrid and Chelsea. I remember watching it. Foxy's, and then you got the Copa Libertadores and the Copa Sudamericana and stuff like that. So Foxy's got America de Cali he's taking today. So Bill, if you want to jump on that, there you go. I know you that those games are pretty late for you, so we will. We'll I know Amadeus will be talking about them in a couple minutes when that show comes on. But, that should be interesting.
My Barella shot at goal. I'll be talking about it tomorrow.
That's a favorite, yes. Best bet of the day from Paul. Barella shot on goal. Not shot on target. Shot at goal, right?
Well, shot on target was even sweeter at plus 200 for the braver shot on target.
All right. All right, so we will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, or wherever you are, whatever time it is where you are. Just block this half hour out, and we will be talking more of the Champions League. We'll talk a little bit about the games today. We'll talk a little bit about the games tomorrow. We'll talk maybe a little bit about some of the games on Thursday as well, ahead of those games, because we'll be talking about them. So, all right, so join us. Yeah, enjoy your day. Enjoy watching the games there.
Thank you.